Aaron Gordon, and you're listening to the 3-Point Conversion.
Defense has to be there, but then you got to box out as soon as you see the shot go up because they're going.
Dave?
I've seen you rock that hat all playoffs long. I'm sure the folks in Phoenix probably saw it during the regular season as well. Can you explain the message of it and then the origin of how you actually got the hat made?
Yeah, I mean, it's one, I just wear this a lot and it matches. So there's not really much else to it, but it's something that we adopted as a team as one of our goofy sayings early in the year. It's from Ben Franklin. Well done is better than well said. And, we talk a lot as coaches. At the same time, we want our guys to hoop and play and be doers. And, that's production on the floor, but also being a good teammate, respecting the game. And we feel like it served us well. There are times where the guys forget because they see the greater than sign and they'll remember like, oh yeah, that's right. And they all have the same hats. So I kind of know that they just threw them in the back of their closets when I gave it to them because they forgot what it meant. But most of our guys have adopted it and it served us well.
You on like Etsy to make it or how?
No, Nicole Swanigan, who works with us, she like does everything. I'll call her with an idea and she'll get with Dean and the creative people will come up with a hat or a t-shirt or a hoodie that we try to, pass around to the team. And the guys tell me that they've kept all the stuff. And from time to time, I'll see them or somebody in their family with the hat on. And so that part's been pretty cool, that they care enough to keep all the goofy stuff that I've given out over 2 years.
Mark in the center.
And Monty, to kind of build on top of that, how would you say, like, what are some of the distinguishable characteristics of the culture that you've tried to implement here? And what was the buy-in like last year and this year?
I mean, the buy-in and commitment was there from day one. I always refer to my first meeting with Book. He looked me in the eyes and said, Coach, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. And it was things that we felt like were attainable. Respecting time, compete, defend, share the ball. And then the last one was gratitude. And the first four are pretty clear, but gratitude is something that we feel like gets lost in the NBA. We've always told our guys, this is a get to, not a got to. We get to be in the league. I still get excited when I have a bag with new stuff in my locker. I've just been around long enough to know that this is not a right for me to be in this position. It's a privilege, and we try to share that with the guys, and they feel the same way. We all come from different backgrounds, and somebody else could be in this position. And so the gratitude part is just something we all try to think about from time to time.
On your right, Dan.
Hey, Monty. You told us after Game 6 in Los Angeles that you were kind of a wreck for a short amount of time before that game, really emotional.
Yeah.
How were you today, kind of going into this? And then along those lines, Chris Paul's waited his entire NBA career to get to this point. What do you expect from him on this stage?
I think the emotions come from, the work that goes into it, the decisions that you make in your life to get to this point, or things that people do for you to help you get to this point. This week, I really haven't had time to reflect on it at all. I've just kind of been waiting to get back on the floor. That moment that I had in the locker room with Randy, Randy Ayers has been with me from day one in New Orleans. And we were just talking about our journey together. And then he just started telling me how he felt about me and, that kind of thing. So that kind of brought some emotions. And I think, just my desire, I want it badly. And I know I've been blessed a lot to be in this position, and I never want to lose sight of that. So sometimes it's overwhelming when I think about how blessed I've been to be able to do what I do for a living.
Mark Spears.
Coach, in coming to the finals, a lot of people are going to learn the team stories. What can you say about James Jones and the job he's done that a lot of people probably don't know much about him at this point?
Yeah, I mean, James just has no ego, you know. I don't think there's ever been a time where he and I have talked on the phone after a good game or a bad game where, you know, he's like, hey, we need to do this or that. It's never been that. It's always been a commitment to our program. And at the same time, he and I think differently. And so when we have our quiet moments, he's not afraid to say, you know, this is what we did in this situation in Miami or Cleveland. And it's always at the right time. You know, he has a people skills that I don't have. He knows how to manage certain situations. And I've learned a ton from him in that regard and watching him lead the organization in a different way than I would. And that has really impacted me.
You know, also, what do you remember when he first called you about Chris? And when did you think it could be a reality?
Yeah, I mean, when he called me, I didn't understand the numbers and what it would take. So it was just like something to talk about. Obviously, I was excited, but I didn't know how it would work. And so then when it started to get close, it was one of those deals where I was like, holy smokes, like this could be really good. And at the same time, I had feelings for, you know, Ricky and Kelly and Ty. You know, they helped us get the program rolling. But I also knew that having Chris was going to change things in a way that, you know, could allow for us to be in this position just because of who he is and my experience with him before. He certainly helped me look better as a coach than I would have had I not had him in New Orleans. And I'm just grateful that he's with us.
Melissa up front.
Hey, Monty. What's impressed you most about DeAndre's growth on the defensive end?
His communication. That there was a number of times last year where the languages and the vocabulary was different for him. This year, having continuity, he's picked it up and he kind of knows what we're going to say in meetings. And when we put stuff on the floor, he already knows what we're doing. And that's impressive, especially for a young big. And then his ability to cover up a lot of mistakes. And certainly the defensive rebounding. You know, he's the guy for us when it comes to that environment. So defensively, he's just the force and energy that he plays with every possession, for sure. There's a number of things that we're, you know, grateful for that he brings to the table on the defensive side of the ball.
Go ahead in the middle.
Hey, Monty, you've won game one of each of your playoff series so far. Have you noticed a common thread in all three of those games? I know it's different opponents, but maybe something that you feel like can help tonight to get off to a good start as well?
I haven't. I just, you know, we have a style of basketball that we like to play. That's been the thing that you hope for. Certainly being at home helps, but we told our guys this morning, you know, we messaged the whole building to go hoop. You know, we've been talking for a few days now. Now it's time to hoop, and we don't want to lose sight of how we play and how we got here.
Anthony, back left.
You in the two regular season matchups, DeAndre guarded Giannis a bunch. If he does go tonight, do you expect to see that matchup, and how much of a challenge does that put on a defense when your center's got to kind of guard a wing?
I think you'll see multiple guys on Giannis if he does play. We're prepared for either situation. Most teams have tried to guard him with a bigger guy, but when you look at the game, you'll see, you know, 6'6", 6'7" guys also guarding Giannis. No one's been able to stop him, but you don't want to give him everything. But he's a decorated all-world player. And so we know it's going to take our team defense to try to nullify what he does effectively.
You mentioned having two plans, you know, if he plays or if he doesn't. How drastically different is a game plan?
I mean, it's not like the guys that are playing when he's out don't play. And so it's two plans is probably overstating it a bit. You just, when certain guys come into the game, your coverages change anyway. That's a normal NBA progression. So We just have to know what we're in when they make subs, or if they start a different lineup. We just have to know that. But I don't think that's any different than any NBA game.
We'll go to Sam and then one on Zoom.
Monty, good seeing you. I know you reflect on Chris a lot, but whenever we talk about the New Orleans chapter and then this chapter, I feel like everybody, to an extent, acts like it's the same relationship back then. And then you picked it up now. And some of the stories that come back from the earlier days, Chris was younger, he was tough, you guys had your competitiveness and maybe some friction at times. Like, what was different about that chapter between the two of you compared to now?
I mean, I think we both were unbelievably headstrong and competitive. And I was probably more my way or the highway. He wasn't. It was really me. And I've referred to getting in his way a lot back then. That was the deal. Mine was probably a lot of insecurity, trying to show what I knew and prove it, as opposed to just coaching. And that probably ruffled feathers, not just his, but a number of the players remarked to me that was the case. And, you know, after you've had some life experiences and, you know, listen to people about their evaluations of you, especially people that you respect, you have no choice but to change. And I've learned I'd rather be effective over right. And, you know, I hope this time around, you know, there's a level of growth there that exhibits that, especially with my relationship with him.
Go ahead, Palmer. Last one on Zoom.
Final question is going to be Nicole Jarina from Puerto Rico.
Hi, Coach. I hope you're doing well.
Thank you.
How important is start the game with urgency to try to protect the home court?
It's been a pillar for us throughout the series. You know, there's something that we want to do is get off to a good start with the effort and the energy and the focus, and hopefully that leads to production offensively and defensively. But we learned that in Game 5 versus the Clippers, that when we don't start with the effort and the juice, you know, we put ourselves in a tough spot. So I don't think that's going to be the case in the finals. Thank you.